Welcome everybody, my name is Michael and today we're discussing about Blast. This is a layer 2 blockchain that's atop Ethereum that is guaranteeing a risk-free 4 to 5% yield payment plan. So for its investors, 600 million plus has been hauled right into it because of that promise of the yield, but some of its biggest backers are actually a little bit worried. So what is Blast? It's a layer 2 blockchain. What is a layer 2 blockchain? Any off-chain network system or technology built on top of a blockchain, commonly known as a layer 1 network, that helps extend the capabilities of the underlying base layer network. Layer 2 networks can support any blockchain to introduce enhancements such as higher transaction throughputs. Layer 2 solutions are built on top of layer 1 that reduce bottlenecks with scaling and data. Similar to in a restaurant kitchen, if every order had to be made by a single person from beginning to end, it would be a very slow process. That's why you have an entire prep station, an entire team. There's a station for cleaning and cutting food. There's a station for cooking, a station that assembles the dishes, everything. That is layer 2. Layer 1 is your base net. So it can validate, it can finalize transactions such as Ethereum, Bitcoin, Solana. It focuses on decentralization and security. Both of these are core tenets. But sometimes, as we've seen in the case of Ethereum and rising gas, there's bottlenecks, there's a lot of traffic, there's certain days where it's just unusable. So some of these have a lot of great aspects to it, but certain things could be tweaked. So Blast on top of Ethereum is now standing out amongst a dozen of these platforms. You have Arbitrum, you have Optimism, you have Base, you've got a bunch of others. With that, $603 million has flooded into Blast recently, and it has been in comparison to Base, which has been backed by Coinbase, which got $582 million, but it got it in a matter of a couple months. Now you have that in a matter of a couple of hours, couple of days that you're working with. The key financial backer, which was Paradigm in this case, came out, and they're a venture capital company. They are concerned. They're backing it. If you go on Twitter, there's actually a post where someone, the top response to one of the main guys behind it, said, Blast, backed but not fully endorsed by Paradigm. Whoops, Blast TVL dropped exactly $0 following this FUD. How is this possible? This was 3 paragraphs long, and you said absolutely nothing. This was in response to Dan Robinson, who said, there are a lot of components of Blast that I'm excited about. And blah, blah, blah. That said, we at Paradigm think the announcement this week crossed lines in both messaging and the execution. We don't agree with the decision to launch the bridge before L2, and we also do. So there's a huge problem going on. Blast actual network is non-existent right now. It's due to launch next year, but deposits are being accepted right now, $603 million of that. They're promising native yields, and they're dangling a prospective eventual token airdrop, and it's gamified. On their website, you're able to see who has invested the most amount of money, and whoever's at the top will receive the most money potentially from this airdrop as long as nothing happens. There's Blast points that you can earn by depositing your funds into an Ethereum wallet associated with Blast, or inviting them as well, kind of like a game, or this gets a little bit closer to MLM Ponzi territory, and some people are like, is it a scam? Well, it doesn't seem to be a scam yet, but there's a couple red flags that are pretty similar to other financial cryptocurrency DeFi scams. It's kind of like a CryptoThunk cyberpunk themed based website. Let's check it out. Look at that. Oh yes, early access airdrop. Enter your invite code. Oh wow. This is kind of cool. It is an interesting website. And when you go to the leaderboard, you can see that someone already has 17.6 million points, 8 million. Who were you invited by? So overall, I can see how this beat the marketing is interesting, but there's a ethical standard to it as well, where a lot of people are scared with what has happened to DeFi. Back in 2020, there was a lot of scams that popped up. There were certain companies that were big in the news. You had hundreds of millions of dollars lost. Right now, the biggest risk is you're depositing money. You don't know who's keeping track of this. There's a couple engineers where it's all anonymous, and you're relying on them to make sure what could be in the future even $1 billion. All of this is under robust safety measures. Right now, you cannot withdraw these funds. You're not going to be able to withdraw funds for 3 whole months. With that, all of these deposits are essentially routed to yield-paying projects, mainly Lido, which adds another layer of risk to this because now you're using bridges, and bridges, there's the potential for them to be hacked. We don't even know the technical aspects of this yet. It's unclear what exactly the network is going to be compromised of. The primary disclosure is that it will be an optimistic rollup that pays interest. Well, with that, what is optimistic rollup? The main difference between a ZK rollup and an optimistic rollup is how they validate the proofs. Optimistic rollups are called optimistic because they assume all the layer 2 transactions are valid until proven otherwise. On the other hand, ZK rollups use a complex piece of cryptography called a zero-knowledge proof to prove the transaction's validity without knowing too much about the transaction specifics. So right now, Dan Robinson on X posted, he's one of the main investors he's a researcher from Paradigm, the VC company that invested into Blast. He put out the 3 paragraphs on Twitter that, yes, we're supporting it, but there's certain concerns we have regarding mainly the marketing. It's going too fast. They shouldn't be accepting deposits right now because it does make it seem cheap. It cheapens the work of an actually serious team. And also, the fact that these funds are currently being deposited into a token bridge, it's just essentially a glorified Ethereum multi-signature wallet, which is safe, but it's not fully safe. There's risks associated with it, especially when we're talking about this amount of money. So in a multi-signature wallet, in this current setup, they need 3 of the 5 signers to approve anything that happens with the transaction. So with that, it is effective if used properly. This is why L2s such as Arbitrum, Optimism, Polygon, and Blast use these multi-sig models. However, we don't know who's behind the multi-sig models. Who's the one that's citing for it? Optimism keeps its multi-sig signatures, signers, the anonymous way. We don't know who's citing it. That's for a safety reason. But is it a safety reason, or is it another reason why we could potentially look at it as a skeptic scam? Why not just use their own blockchain or a bona fide bridge? Well, with this, right now, maybe they're just going about things too quickly. They want to differentiate themselves from the other L2s. Well, what's one way you could easily differentiate yourself in cryptocurrency? The time that, oh, my grammar is just, I don't know what to say. The true time-tested, was that how I'd say it? Yeah, the true time-tested method. Marketing. Wow, the unicorns, marketing. This is the way to sell. Online, at least. Sales and marketing, very important. And when you have a product that could be very good, or it may not be, who cares? It doesn't matter. Marketing. This is the way to make a bunch of money. Yes. So by making this CryptoPunk themed website, by making a cool logo, Blast, an amazing name to it, by getting influencers involved, and by saying the magic words, Ethereum now has a version of the RFR form in the form of ETH staking. You can now earn 3 to 4% on your Ethereum via staking, and that alone has sucked up $20 billion of liquidity. The baseline interest on existing L2s is 0%. So by default, the value of your assets depreciate over time. Blast is the first L2 with native yield. On Blast, your balance compounds, that's the magic word, compounds automatically and earns Blast rewards on top. And they have a nice little graph where it's like, it blasts off. Now, Blast's yields are right around 4 to 5%, supposedly, plus extra Blast points if the airdrop and everything goes well. But this is actually decent. It sounds legitimate because it's a far cry from the 1,000+% yields promised back in the days of DeFi and yield farming, and most of them were rug pulls. So yes, you'd get 1,000%, but try withdrawing. Maybe you do. Probably you don't. You lose all your money. So the problem here is Blast use another keyword instead of compounding, risk-free. Risk-free. Well, there's no such thing as risk-free. The risk here is you lose your entire money. It's 100% risk if it gets hacked, the bridge. If it's a rug pull. If something happens, there's a glitch, who knows? You have to wait 3 months. Would I invest a lot of money into this? Maybe you could throw $100 into it, see what happens. Maybe 1,000 if you're super wealthy. Throwing a bunch of money? Probably not. And it's a gamified system. It does make it seem, oh, I don't know, like they just want a quick buck. They want to get out of here. Maybe they're a serious team, but it does make it look cheaper. A lot of people are saying that Blast is also a Ponzi because Paradigm invested $20 million into Blast, and most of the money is going into Lido. It's a liquid Ethereum protocol that has deep ties to Paradigm. Well, maybe they're making a lot of money here. $20 million to get 500 million, 600 million. Hey, that's a pretty good investment. Just don't give that money back at all. Now, that's probably not the case because, again, you have to think long-term, big picture, the reputation. What's $500 million compared to the potential billions that they're going to make long term? But there is added scrutiny. There's a lot of concerns right now. Mr. Rocaire, aka Pacman, aka the founder of Blast, said Paradigm had zero involvement in Blast's go-to market. They probably would have asked me to change a lot about Blast's launch if they had been involved. And in fact, post-launch, there was a lot of request changes to Blast strategy that they said, hey, we don't agree fully with everything. They did not pull their funding, but Mr. Rocaire's statement and Mr. Robinson's statements, both together, they did not address the Lido ties. They didn't really address a lot of the stress regarding what's going to happen over these next 3 months with the money. There's a lot of guerrilla marketing here, and it's working. I mean, they're going to make a bunch of money. Let's hope always for the best. I never want anybody to lose any money, but in cryptocurrency, it is still the Wild West, especially with new ideas. People get, they hear about cryptocurrency from their friends and family, and every day you have to think to yourself, there's a lot of teenagers, young adults who just grew up around internet, tablets, phones. They have it everywhere, and now from high school, they saw a friend was investing in, meme coins and DeFi and all this stuff, and they started looking it up. And I went recently on a subreddit where I'm currently researching a coin, and there was a bunch of people on the subreddit who are investors who have started complaining that this is why the project and crypto itself has a lot of problems. Yes, it's a pretty cool project that's going up in value, but you have now a lot of people who started posting, where do I buy? What do I do with it? How could I sell? How could I make a lot of money? And then they post literally the next post or 2 sentences down from their paragraph. By the way, I barely know anything about this project. I just found out about it yesterday. I just found out about crypto last week, right? So they have no idea what's going on. They're just learning about it, and it's great. But before you dive head first and, put all your money into it and lose the house, the problem is a lot of these people don't even do the proper research. They don't even care. They're just like, whatever, let me post. Screw, wasting a bunch of time. Let's just do it immediately. How can I make money? And that kind of ruins it because now you're going to have a lot of this hype, which the hype immediately gets attracted by this guerrilla marketing. And then there's this fear of missing out, this FOMO. And you don't want to be in that head state because I was in that a couple years ago. And now my life is ruined. Yeah, no, but seriously, it is. So I certainly wish I could go back in time and change a couple things. That's why I don't invest anymore. I will invest in the future in safer projects, but these Wild West days are pretty much gone for me until, I have a lot of extra capital. And if ever I saw something like this, if it was at the very beginning or some of these interesting projects I'm researching, maybe I'd put in $50 to $100. You can't put in kind of like $5 to $50. If I could, I'd put in the smallest amount possible, but there's the other aspect. You have to think about fees. So you might have to put in a couple $100 because of fees. But even then, it might not make sense. So you have to take in your opportunity costs. What can you do with this money? That's after you'd be investing in very safe. For the most part, you're diversified all throughout. Not only crypto, but you have stocks, you have hedge funds, you have a retirement 401k, all this stuff going on. And maybe 10% goes into crypto, and of that 10%, maybe 0.01%, throughout the entire year. It depends on how much money you're working with. Maybe you throw $50 into very risky projects, right? So there's a lot. There's a lot here. But anyways, thanks for watching. If you guys are excited about cryptocurrency and you like seeing my face, I have created 2 new channels. One's about artificial intelligence and one's about car sales, Volvos, because I sell cars. So links are in the description below, and we will try and post more crypto related content on here. Thanks so much. You have a good one and take care.